Welcome back to RBR, guys, and the all new generation of Audi A6, the C9 Avant. And in my opinion, this is the best looking new car in the whole world. Audi have really hit the ball out the park with the new A6. From the off, it's looking like it's doing its best impression of an RS6. It's low slung, it's wide, it's muscular, it's got angles and cuts that modern cars just don't have. It is just gorgeous. We have all new lighting technology both on the front and on the rear, and it's not just the design on the outside. The interior also sees a massive update for the A6. But it's not just the aesthetics. Underneath this pretty shell, we've got a whole new platform, we've got updated Quattro, we've got a new engine lineup, and that's supported by an advanced mild hybrid system that is pretty much better than its rivals. So today we're going to go over all of that. We're going to drive a few different variations of the A6 as well. And I want to compare it, especially visually, to the previous C8, to the Audi A6 e-tron that's sold alongside this as a pure EV car. And the other thing I get to unveil to you today is a new body variant, which is the Sedan, and I will show you that later in the video. So let's dive in, guys, and see what this new Audi A6 is like to drive. So guys, today's episode is once again sponsored by Manscaped. You guys know them best for helping us not mutilate ourselves downstairs when we're trying to groom and remain tidy, but they actually make the best electric shavers for your beard that I have ever used. And this is their best one. It's called the Chairman Pro. This is truly the big boss or the chairman of electric shavers, and there's a number of reasons for that. First of all, you have these super easy interchangeable heads on here. You've got 360-degree movement, so you can get really close and in the right places with your neck. And the great thing is that this shaver has flex adjust technology, which basically means that it's got super adjustability in the head, making sure that the contact is maintained with your skin at all times. But you can also then lock it into place so there's no movement, and you can get even better with precision than the heads themselves. Your first one is the foil blade shaver, and this gives you that super close to skin, baby skin like finish. And if you want a clean shave with an electric shaver, there's nothing quite like this head. Then, if you don't want that and you want some stubble like me, this is the precision trimmer, and it can handle growth up to 5 days, and it gives you that perfect stubble type look every single time. The great thing about this shaver, like all of Manscaped's products, you can use them in the shower as well. They've got great features like the LED light on the back, you've got an LCD screen on the front, and the USB-C, so no other silly wires that you need to keep in order just to charge it. And finally, it's got Manscaped's usual skin-safe technology as well. So really an awesome shaver. And then with this package I have for you today, you get 2 other products that just complete the experience. First, the Power Shave Gel. This is a shaving gel that preps your skin, stops skin irritation from happening. It's alcohol-free, paraben-free. It lubricates your skin in a great way and works perfectly with the Chairman Pro. And then this, the Face Shave Soother. I love this. Instead of slapping a load of aftershave on your skin, getting that horrible stinging feeling, this stops ingrown hairs. Again, it's dermatologist tested like this. It keeps your skin nice and moisturized, which I always have an issue with. And that whole package, you can get 20% off as an RBR viewer. Just use the code RBR. You also get free international shipping. So just use the code RBR, you get 20% off, free international shipping. A huge thanks to Manscaped for being so loyal, but also to you guys for always supporting our regular sponsors and supporting RBR as a channel. Now, let's get back to the car. The A6 has to be the defining car for the 4 rings. It's not its biggest seller, which goes to the Q5, but I think it's the most iconic name badge because it started all the way back with the Audi 100, which is pretty much the original one, rebadged to an A6. And I think every generation since, particularly in the Avant, has been the prettiest car versus its rivals. And I think the C9 only cements that. As I said, I think it's the best looking new car in the world. And one thing the A6 has always done is combine that sporty look with practicality, with comfort and great technology. But this one has to deal with a really changed landscape now, with electrification everywhere, even with its own A6 sibling, and then a marketplace that seems to prefer SUVs over wagons and estates. So it's not all clear sailing for this car. And the basis is a great one. It starts off with a new platform called the PPC platform, the Premium Platform Combustion, built hand in hand with Porsche. And this is now the 3rd car of that platform. So we've had the A5, we've had the Q5, and now the A6. So Audi announcing 3 brand new ICE cars just within the last 12 months. And this is really showing you Audi's new Audi agenda, as they call it, led by their new CEO, Gernot Dollner, where they have a two-pronged approach now, not just an obsession over electrification and trying to be fully electric. Now it's customer first. Do you want an ICE car? Do you want a hybrid? Or do you want to have fully electric? You can choose as the customer. And I think this is the right way to go. And I think one other thing that really shows the move and the thinking of Audi going forward, because the name of this car was actually under threat. I reported to you guys previously that this was actually due to be called the Audi A7, because Audi wanted all the odd number cars to be combustion and all the even number cars to be fully electric. Now the issue with that is we've had an A6 since the start and it has so much heritage. So customers were like, well, no, we don't want that. And luckily Audi, lastminute.com, decided to reverse that decision, and now this is thankfully the A6, as it should be. But like I said, this is an indicator of the fact that they are now listening to us, and there's a number of other things around this car which also show that, which I'll show you when we go around the design. Now before I dive into all the technical stuff and the engine lineup, let's talk about the design, because it's such a good looking car, right? And to do that, let's first compare it directly to predecessor C8, okay? And when you compare it, the C8 was a gorgeous car still. I love that car. But this, like I said, to me, so much more angular. It's really doing its best Audi Sport impression from the get-go. It's got a lot of kind of e-tron GT in there as well. Very, very aggressive looking in the best of ways. And I think they've really knocked it out of the park. It brings a lot of that flavor that we loved in the new A5 as well, but then multiplies that as a higher model should, which not every manufacturer does. The most interesting comparison to me though is versus the electrified model, which is the A6 e-tron. You bring that here and that looks like a BMW 7 Series with the rear of an Audi Avant. And they actually call it a monolithic design, just like BMW do, and they're not wrong. It just looks like a Mars bar on the front particularly, versus this, which is so sharp and so angular and so gorgeous compared to that. What a difference between these two technologies in terms of just the design element. And I'm going to go into a lot more detail in that in my A6 e-tron video, so check the channel for that. That will go into a lot more detail between the design differences between these two. And where you think the aerodynamic value might suffer on this, stay tuned, I'm going to tell you exactly what this is. You're going to be actually very surprised. Now, let's check out the design in a bit more detail. I've got a bunch of specs to show you as well, because you can really spec this up to your own liking. Let's check that out now. Now the design of this car, it is so different to the A6 e-tron, which more of a bulbous, monolithic looking thing. This, so sharp, so wide, so muscular looking, so intimidating in comparison. The two of these cars, when put together as we did, really does highlight so effortlessly the difference between the design of a combustion car and the design of a pure ICE car, and why we love this versus something like that. This is absolutely stunning. I mean, like I said, it really is literally doing its best RS6 impression from the get-go here, as we said. And we start off with the massive single frame that Audi have started to do here, and it's as big in real life as it is looking here as we stand in front of it. It looks great. It's literally from the middle right down to the floor it finishes, and that gives it a really aggressive and a muscular kind of look. It looks very purposeful. You've got those L shapes within the grille, part of the S-line. Our new 2D Audi badges kind of start from the bodywork of the car and then move into the grille, which is lovely because it's like they're almost growing from the inside of the car out. It looks really nice. And then the bonnet itself, very sporting with those scoops within it, which you see while you're driving as well. And then you've got the lovely S-line style air curtains. These are curtains, not intakes. A lot of lay people get that wrong. All of your air intake is of course in the grille itself. And then what's really nice is of course the Audi Matrix headlights, which then, unlike the A6 e-tron, which has the silly dual headlight with the DRLs, which are slim, and then the bigger light cluster at the bottom, this is one light as we've had in the past. And again, this is how we expect Audi light technology to look like. And of course you have a choice of animation, 7 per the front and the rear. Now our Matrix LEDs come with 48 LEDs per headlamp, and they're covered by, I'm sure you can see in here, the steel mesh that goes on the inside of our lamp as well. So that kind of makes this a bit distinctive. Again, something we haven't seen before. Audi Sport always trying to innovate with their lights and keep us excited about them. So the lights, traditional Audi, absolutely love it. Don't like the dual lights. These are perfect. And the grille and that 3/4 itself, so aggressive. It's an absolute joy to look at. Then you come around the side, things get only better. You've got the lovely 21-inch black wheels here on our Edition 1. You'll be interested to know that the color on this car is a Madeira brown, which actually seems to have more purple in it than it does brown. This is brown. That's not brown. This is brown here. But it's still a lovely color. I'm just not sure I would call it brown. But yes, 21-inch wheels, which are the biggest size that you can get on this A6 Avant. You also see that the car is sitting in its lowest position here in dynamic mode, which thanks to the air suspension is lower than what you get in the standard suspension. Sport suspension is 20mm lower anyway on our S-Line. And these wheels are actually really nice with the red calipers, really set things off in a beautiful way. Are these nicer than the other S-Line ones? I think I actually like them as much, so it really comes down to personal preference. The size is the same. But things only get better as you come around the side. That side view for the Avant is absolutely gorgeous. It's almost transformed into a shooting brake type style with how rakish that rear roofline is. It's super exaggerated, and the way that it kind of cuts off here, just look at the trim around the C-pillar here. It's so exaggerated, very sharp, and what that gives you is, I think, an extremely sporty looking rear wagon look. It looks amazing. Really, that is one of the best looking side views of an estate car that we've ever had, I think. Really aggressive, really nice and muscular. Side sills have a lot of attitude as well, with the nice cut that goes in between our black trim in there. Again, helps widen the bottom of the car. And then you come around the rear, and again, things just seem to get even better. Now, rear lights are quite special. You've got two separate elements here. You've got the lower straight light bar, and then you've got our OLED top lights here. So at first we have our OLED lights at the top, which you can see with their little panels within there. Then we have the light bar at the bottom, and then you'll see when you press the brake you get the additional light, and that gives you the entire look, which is actually really quite handsome and very different to what we've had in A6 in the past, but modern and new enough that it's not just a boring light bar going through the car like we've had on e-tron cars, for example. This sets itself apart as quite a unique light signature, and I'm so happy to see it in the A6, because look how good that looks, with a bit of character, something more modern, something more different on the rear. This, to me, is again the best looking car that they make, and I'm glad it's the A6, I'm glad it's the Avant, because it deserves it. Now, because this is our V6, you will notice that we have actual exhaust pipes at the bottom, which is great. Audi is returning to using actual exhausts on all of their ICE models, so it's great to see that the V6 has proper exhaust, and you will see that with our petrol and our diesel as well, with proper pipes coming out the rear. Lower diffuser, nice and sporty, and then you have the additional brake light hidden within the top part of our rear boot. Now, one thing that Audi fans have been crying foul of recently has been the badging scheme, putting S badges on non-S cars just because they're S-Line. You'll notice this is an S-Line car. It no longer has the S-Line badge in the grille. Okay, instead we have the classic style S-Line on the side, on the wing, as you should have it. So that's fantastic. That is a sign of Audi listening to us, listening to customers. And I suspect that when we get an S6, you will see the S6 badge on the front of this lovely single frame grille. So that is the design of our new A6 Avant, looking absolutely stunning. Now, let's check out some of the other cars in different specs. Now here we have two completely different specs. That's our TDI, and that is our standard TFSI, and that's in glacier white, and that is midnight green. And just like our brown, no wonder it's called midnight green. Let's have a look at this one first. It is literally almost just black, isn't it? Even with the sun hitting it directly, you can barely see the shade of green. Maybe that was the point of it. Because if you're looking for a black car and you can't find one, well, this one might do you as well. TDI here sits on our typical S-Line wheels, which you will find on S models as well throughout the Audi range in recent years, and looks really good. This also has the air suspension, so it's dropped lower by 20mm, so it's got that really nice stance. Similar story on the rear there. You can actually make out the green a bit more on that rear quarter, and then you'll notice that you have the twin pipes here on the back for the TDI. So again, that's a bit of a differentiator on this particular car. I think it looks good. It harkens me back to old ICE cars that only used to have exhaust on one side, and I really like the fact that Audi aren't shying away from that. It's good that we have real exhausts that serve a real function and identify this as a proper combustion car. Then we come to Glacier White, and look how beneficial a light colour is to the new A6's body. You can really now make out the exaggerated curves, the lines cut out on the bonnet. I mean, look at that. That's a proper sculpture there, isn't it? And so many car manufacturers don't do this kind of exciting stuff. Audi very good at it when they want to be. Getting close to that extreme Audi sport look, even in the standard TFSI car. Start to come around the side, you see that rakish roof line, even more exaggerated. You can see it better, you can see where the window line is. And then as you come around the rear, look how much better those lovely rear lights now look when you can actually see the breakup between the top section, the lower brake light, and then the bar through the middle. This to me is right. I think the light colours are really going to suit this car immensely. Again, on our TFSI, you can see you've got the two exhausts as we have in the V6, so the petrol cars getting exhaust on each side and our diesel having exhaust on one side. And I think in the white you can make out kind of the muscularity of the shoulders of the car a bit better as well. So yeah, lighter colour I think is the way to go. And in fact, this is made even more clear when we go and see another car. And here's the other one, guys. Audi exclusive. So of course you can get all the Audi exclusive colours on the A6 as well. This one is Dakota grey, but it's kind of brown, as you can see. Seems to be a trend with Audi colours, doesn't it? Says one thing, does another, but very pretty. This is a lighter colour, so you can appreciate then the rear light bar a lot more, I think, in this. This is where I was saying, I think lighter colour is going to suit the standard A6 more. That's very much the case here. As you can see, you just end up seeing just more of the interesting shapes, the breakup, the contrast, the black elements, everything coming together a bit more with a lighter shade. Same on the front as well. This spec I think actually would look really quite good with some silver wheels. Black wheels just kind of get lost within there. We need to bring silver wheels back, man. They are the way to go, I think, on bigger wheels and modern cars. But yes, there you go, Dakota grey, nice individual colour. But what's better than that is the interior, where they've really shown off what they can do with Audi exclusive. Now look at this, guys. This is a very nice interior, and mainly because it really shows off on these Sport Plus seats just how different you can go. We've got two different leather shades here. I'm not even going to try and guess and remember what they were, but you can see you've got one that matches the Dakota grey on the outside, and then a bluer shade of Napa here, which looks great. We've got blue Dynamica as well, so you've got different textures going on with the Napa, the diamond stitching, the suede of the Dynamica, and then we've got a mattified fibre effect in the middle there. And again, if you really want to go whole hog, really customize your car, you can do that, and Audi exclusive will do it for you. So all those specifications, gorgeous. Now I mentioned the aerodynamic value to you guys, and where you think it might suffer being so much more angular and interesting versus the e-tron, it's actually got the best CD value of any combustion Avant in Audi's history at just 0.25, which is 0.1 off the e-tron only, which is astounding to me. It's not just the design, which of course is brilliant, but they also got active aerodynamics with shutters behind our single frame grille and other measures in order, like the air curtains for example, in order to get that value right. But even the profile and the design of the tires and the wheels help that, but that's super impressive for a standard combustion A6. Now guys, let us begin with engine and technology, and we start with a basic entry-level model, which is the Audi 2-litre TFSI. Now this replaces a similar car in the C8, which used to be known as the Audi 40, and they've done away with that silly naming system. Now this is just a 2-litre TFSI. It's a 4-cylinder car with front-wheel drive only. It's not a mild hybrid like the others, and it's a little bit slower than the car previous to it, and it's around about 204 PS. The nice thing about this car is that it has a starting price of just 52k, which in this market, for a car that looks like this, is pretty damn fantastic actually. And it does still come standard with the S-tronic 7-speed gearbox, and it comes with the standard comfort suspension. So it's a good starting basis if you just want to get into an A6. Then come the interesting ones, which are MHEV cars, or the mild hybrid cars essentially. Now don't get too afraid of this, it's actually very simple. This new mild hybrid plus system essentially levels up the combustion engine in order to make it more powerful and more efficient. And the way it does this, we've got a 1.7 kilowatt lithium phosphate battery that sits in the rear. That links to a belt starter generator and a power generator within our gearbox. And that gives a boost to the car of just over 20 horsepower, 230 Newton meters. So you get a bit of a power boost, which is great, but you also get all electric driving in low speed situations like reversing, traffic, and situations like that where you actually waste a lot of fuel. And I'll show you what that is like later. And another benefit, we have a new integrated braking system where you get 25 kilowatt regen on braking, and then it decides when to use the regen for braking or when to use the brakes themselves. And again, very useful for filling that battery up and getting more of that electric driving done. For now, the two engines that benefit from this are our V6 TFSI 3 litre and the diesel that we'll be driving today as well. And the other thing that they both benefit from is a new Quattro system called Quattro Ultra. And it is now a fully variable system, able to send either 100% to the front by decoupling the rear to be more efficient, and then 70% to the rear in dynamic when it needs that extra pull and push, which is really good. So it means this will be quite rear biased when you're driving faster. Now our diesel, thus, it's quicker, of course, than the entry-level car, just thanks to the Quattro, despite being the exact same power. We've got more torque, which is great as well, and it benefits from the whole mild hybrid system as well. And of course, it has the best consumption of the lot. So this really looking like the daily option to go for if you want a really good daily A6. Then we come to our V6 3 litre, which, just to let you know, you don't get it in the UK. I'll explain why later, but you do get it in the rest of the world. And this has some differences, technically speaking. First of all, we know this engine well. It's more powerful, 367 PS, 550 Newton meters, and a lot quicker. And because of the extra Newton meters, it doesn't use the 7-speed S-tronic. Instead, it uses the 8-speed Tiptronic, which is better able to handle that torque. Another difference is it gets an optional Sport Quattro differential in this that then allows for torque vectoring and reduces understeer when you're driving more dynamically. That is an optional extra on this car. Now, speaking of the handling, the steering generally in the A6, they've done a big upgrade. It's stiffer mounted now, so it better handles a comfort and steering feel, which is great. And in terms of suspension, we have three different options. We have the comfort suspension, which is standard. We have the sport suspension, which lowers the car by 20 millimeters. And finally, the air suspension, which we have on both of our diesel and on our V6 today. This is quite cool because it has adaptive dampers. It sits low when the car is driving faster to help with aerodynamics. And it even has a lift mode where if you give it a command like raise the vehicle, it will raise the vehicle up.
Raising the vehicle.
So guys, your engine lineup thus is your 2 litre 4-cylinder TFSI starting at 52k, which is a really good price for a car that looks like this at this side of the market. Then we have our diesel at 56k, which I think might be the Goldilocks. We'll see when we go for a drive shortly. And then finally, the V6, like I said, that's in Germany and the rest of the world, starting at 72,000 euros, but that doesn't come to the UK. Now, it is official that they are making plug-in hybrids, no surprise there, and the plug-ins will come in two different power levels. First of all, a 300 PS version, and the second one is 367. Now, they don't have any official figures to give me elsewhere, but those figures sound remarkably similar to the A5 plug-ins that they have announced. And we know from those that it has a 25.9 kilowatt battery and it has a range of around about 68 miles. We know that the electric motor adds about 140 HP. So if the A6 ends up getting that, what an awesome daily is that going to be then? That looks like this with the electric miles. A real A6 e-tron killer, I think. Now, the other car that I've alluded to in this is the S6. Now, surely the S6 cannot be just a standard ICE car like the last one again. Given the fact that we're going to have plugins, I think it has to be a V6 with hybrid assistance because they have to match AMG's E53, which is actually a really powerful car. They have to beat the old C8 S6 as well. To me, that just makes sense. I have no official information on this. That's my prediction. So guys, welcome to the new interior of the A6, which is, to be fair, compared to the previous A6, a massive, massive upgrade, going away from that 2-screen system and that really dated MMI system into a new Android automotive OS based MMI system and what they like to call the digital stage, which is this really curved front skateboard screen and the optional passenger screen on the side. So we have two screens, the 11.9-inch virtual cockpit, the 14.5-inch main display here, and in the A6 versus Q5, A6 e-tron, and indeed the A5, it feels more curved to me, almost like it's set more this way, so it's a bit more driver-centric. And to be fair, while all of those look very similar, the A6 has a few flourishes here and there, particularly with the speakers and the door handle here with the Bang & Olufsen speaker, the aluminium door handle, and the way the trim in there is displayed. The general dashboard shape is quite exaggerated, the vents are very different. It makes it stand out a little bit versus those, though still very similar. And this is the problem where you're using the same screens throughout different cars, that there's only so much you can get away from that basic structure, which is basically 50% of it, right? That's not to say it's not nice. Look at this interior, it's the brown interior here that we have. And it's gorgeous, particularly this lovely silver wood trim that they have used within the center console. So there's a really nice structured interior, and the different trims we have here, this brown one, the white interior from the V6, you can make the interior look quite wildly different depending on your specification. This one that we're driving here, the diesel, has the standard steering wheel, which actually suits the look of the airbag a lot more than our S-Line one, which, though it's really nice being flat top and flat bottom, I think the airbag doesn't suit it. It needed the round Audi Sport one with a bit more character. For this version, I think this looks absolutely fine. And as I suspected previously, this airbag just works better on a standard steering wheel. Still not a massive fan of the gear selector here, which looks like a little black chocolate bar that you move up and down. We've also got this massive panoramic roof, which has, I think, 7 or 8 different panels that you can block out. The only shame is you can't open this up, but in terms of blotting out the sun, this is actually very effective. And of course, the other benefit is with that glass, you get a lot of head height and room for your rear passengers as well. The virtual cockpit, a bit of a disappointment because there's only one singular view in there, and that's something they need to work on. And in terms of the system itself, I reviewed it a number of times now in the Q6, we've done it in Q5, which is coming up. We've got A6 e-tron as well. So I'd recommend you check out one of those videos for a deeper dive, particularly the Q6, in terms of how the system works. As a general overview, it's really easy to use. It's very responsive. You have the ability to choose ambient lighting, different sections, which is quite vast in this as well. You have, of course, the different exterior lighting that can be chosen within the system and is displayed in a really nice way. Passenger display, as I always find with these cars, not very useful at all. It's small, the things that you can do with it are very, very limited, and I just keep it on the screensaver mode. I still don't understand why you need it, and if it's an option that you can not tick, then don't tick it and save the money. The Audi Assistant in this is also powered by AIs like ChatGPT and works hand in hand with them to answer general questions and then to control things within the car, as I showed you, for example, with raising the vehicle's height. One nice thing is you get adaptive cruise control and parking assist as standard within here, and you've got your specific adaptive cruise stalk here for that. You've got a wireless charging tray here that cools as well. Of course, you've got the heads-up display, which is one other display in this car, and it's very large, and you'll see in my other videos how that works when you're driving. Rear space, absolutely mega. I look like a child in here. I look like a child generally, but there's a lot of room, right? I'm 5'10", and I've become lost in this interior. It's good. Got a couple of USBs here. We've got our own climate control. We've got like our window blinds here as well. All these executive things that I think you come in expecting at this class of vehicle, and they're here. And it's comfortable, the seats are nice. Now, the other thing is, boot space is actually quite good in this as well. Despite it being the MHEV and having that little battery in the back, we've got about 503 litres back there. Lots of RBR luggage in here, as you can see. Packed to the brim with still tons of space. That's probably not the best way to show you this boot, is it? Let me show you one that's a bit more empty. And here is an empty one. 503 litres, goes well over 1500 when you fold bits down. But yes, practicality is the name of the game with an A6 Avant, and that doesn't change here. So pretty much Audi's best modern interior, shared with all the other cars, brought into this with a bit more character for the A6, which is nice. Now I've got one more thing to show you before we go out and drive our 3 different variants, and that is a different body style for the A6, and no points for guessing what that is. Now, of course, our other body style, very predictable, you know what it is. It is the new A6 Sedan. And actually, it's quite a retro looking sedan, don't you think? Like more than the C8 was. There's a couple of reasons for that. They've designed this rear boot lid on purpose and with a very kind of flat. You can see that when you come close to it. It's like really flat. You've got, yes, a nice aero curve here, which helps with an incredible CD value on this car. Like it's the most aerodynamic. This is actually their most aerodynamic car, period, for a combustion car. But yes, this links to the C6 saloon. And now when I've told you, you'll see it. You'll see it in that flatness on the rear boot lid. And then that paired with like the chrome package and this standard Sportline trim with the brighter trim across, say, well, all the trim pieces like the diffuser, etc. You can see like it's a brighter trim with gloss, which is quite executive. It's quite nice. All of that melds together for this kind of more retro-ish look on the sedan. And I like it. I like it. You can still get the S-Line, of course. So if you want that more aggressive look, like the Avant that we're testing outside at the moment, you can go for that. If you want the more executive look, that's probably why they've shown this here today, then you can go for this. Now, this is the MHEV, so this is the 3-litre V6. Boot capacity, about 50 litres less than the Avant as expected, and because it's the mild hybrid, you get a bit less in the boot as well. But that is par for the course when it comes to a sedan. Everything else pretty much the same. In terms of lighting technology, absolutely identical. You still have the OLED bar, you have the single frame that goes through the middle of it, and then your brake light, that's vertical on either side, and of course, all the animations. So that element, all identical to the Avant, in fact, as is your engine lineup as well, so bear that in mind. Our interior, which is nigh on identical to the Avant, so we don't need to go over that. And on the front, you've got your standard single frame grille, but again, with that brighter work within the grille element itself, which is quite nice. The Audi rings you'll see are in a nice bright white. Standard trim isn't bad at all, and then the air curtain's quite different on the standard trim, as you can see here. But overall, that front 3/4, nice executive saloon. I like the squareness of the rear, and this is a good option for anyone who wants an Audi sedan because, of course, A6 e-tron is a sportback, A5 is a sportback because there's no A4 sedan anymore, so you've only got A3 sedan, which is probably on the way out, and you've got the current A8. So if you really want an Audi sedan, the A6 is the way to go. And now off we go. And you see doing these little maneuvers, the engine is still off. And this is where it's going to make, again, a lot of fuel saving, little maneuvers, parking, etc., before then the engine kicks into gear. Following my cameraman Jamie Britton there, and I must say, A6 looks absolutely stunning following it from the rear, doesn't it? Look at that. Right, enough oogling the A6. I am still in the fully electric mode, the MHEV, in this diesel engine. It's more obvious in the diesel than in the V6, because obviously the diesel has a bit of a different sound profile than the V6. And then you put your foot down and the engine can go. And this MHEV system is great. Not only have you got that element, so you've got some fuel saving, but then it gives you a boost whenever you ask for power. It's always available. There's no lag from the combustion engine, which is a great feeling. And it only then makes something like what would be a strained 4-cylinder feel so responsive. Now, you might not think that this diesel is the most exciting option to go for, but honestly, with the MHEV, with the extra boost you get of horsepower, already you have a healthy amount of torque at 400 Newton meters. Then you get the boost of another 230 when you need it. And then zero lag, thanks to the fact that we have the MHEV. It actually becomes a really smooth engine to use. And then you have the S-Tronic 7-speed, which is a dual clutch box that actually shifts really quite well for a entry-level car. So all of that works together quite nicely. You bring in the Quattro, you get a lot of grip, a lot of speed. Rear wheel steer is of course useful as well. It reduces the turning circle on this longer car. And then when you're driving faster across corners, it gives you a bit more agility, which is of course what you want in this. So yeah, that's a nice addition having that. So yeah, as we find in all long cars, very useful to have the rear wheel steer element in the A6. Yes, the 0 to 60 isn't anything to write home about as such, but that's not what this is about. This is about delivering power on the road, getting grip all year round, And the diesel does that very well. And the other thing that really helps the diesel is Audi's obsession in this model with reducing noise. They managed to reduce cabin noise by 30% thanks to things like modifying the tires. We've got acoustically optimized glass available as an option on the rear. They revised the bushings for less noise. They've even revised the gearing on the S-tronic gearbox. And overall, I mean, you guys can probably hear it now, the cabin noise is so reduced, it's so much more comfortable. And that's especially great then for a diesel engine, which is a smaller diesel engine, because it doesn't sound or feel like it either. So in its favor, the diesel has the MHEV, we've got the torque, we've got the Quattro Ultra system, which is great. And then the other side of it that is actually really beneficial is the air suspension. Now, it just makes this car so comfortable. The flow that it has on the road is right up there with top luxury cars. It really handles the bumps well. Out here in Portugal, we've got quite a few uneven road surfaces, quite reminiscent of what we might have in the UK, and it's handling it beautifully with the adaptive suspension. You saw we have the lift system, you saw we have the ability to drop down when we drive faster. This has been really good as well. Don't worry, we're going to check out the standard suspension in a minute when we jump into the TFSI, but overall the diesel looking like a really good package. Now before we go in the TFSI, let's have a quick look at the V6. Yes, not available in the UK, but for the benefit of the rest of you guys, let's have a quick drive and see what that's like. So guys, here we are in the V6, 367 PS, 550 Newton meters, edging pretty close to what the S6 used to be, though this is more of a daily car, right? Which is where I think this begins to edge close to where the old S6 was. And you're wondering, why are you spending that much more in a daily A6? To me, while it is fast and while it does sound nice and is a great engine, I want to see something a bit more intelligent from an S6. I want to see a plug-in. Like I said, I want to feel more power, I want to have more power. What we had in the previous gen isn't enough today. For those of you who can get the V6 in your territory, look, it's a great engine. We know it's a great engine. It feels really quick. The torque figure is good. The gearbox, because it's still that S-tronic, shifts really decently. It's a good engine and it's a good gearbox and it's a dynamic feeling car thanks to the air suspension. Of course, we dip down further in dynamic mode in terms of the suspension. You've got the rear wheel steering element, but it's still a comfortable car thanks to the air suspension when you're in comfort mode. And of course, you have all the benefits of the MHEV, as we've seen in the diesel car as well. So if you're getting the V6 in your territory, it's good, it's fast, though I would still be tempted to go towards the diesel. Now I will admit, coming into this standard 4-cylinder TFSI, there is a certain bias that I think we all have, right? Thinking the engine's going to sound and react a certain way. But you know, I'm really surprised how silky smooth this engine actually is. It just doesn't feel like a 200 PS petrol engine. It's got a really silky smooth power delivery. It doesn't sound strained either, like horrible 4-cylinders do. I'm really fascinated actually to see what this will be like as a plug-in. It's as quiet as the diesel is as well. It's got, you know, really good sound insulation as we discussed. This engine, I think, paired to that plug-in element, will be a really interesting car. And I think when you come into this thinking the entry level is going to be that much worse, it just isn't. It's got the type of engine that actually for daily duties is doing a perfectly good job. And then the suspension, the standard comfort one, actually quite surprising as well. Now we're on quite a uneven surface, quite a bumpy road here. And the standard suspension, honestly, it's not that bad at all. It's not silky smooth like the air suspension, but it's not jarring. It's not too bad. You know, suspension technology has come so far. We're going over some awful potholes there. It's absolutely okay. You know, for an entry level, for a daily car, this suspension isn't going to leave you wondering why you didn't option the air suspension. I think it's absolutely fine. I think, you know, at this level, when you're trying to not spend the world, but still get a good executive car, they've done a pretty damn good job on this as a standard setup. Obviously, if you go to the Sport, it's just going to lower it by 20 mil. I can't see that being any different in terms of the damping characteristics as such, unless they've made it a bit sportier. But for this comfort setup, you know, for daily duties, absolutely a-okay. So yeah, good suspension, a surprisingly fluid engine. I'm quite impressed with this entry-level car. I'm a huge fan of diesels, however, so I think I would still go toward the diesel. But if you wanted to get the entry-level petrol, I don't think you'll be disappointed, neither in the way that the engine behaves, nor the suspension. So the V6 is a great engine, as we know. I'm more interested in it in the S6. It does a good enough job here. It feels much quicker, much more powerful, obviously. But for a daily A6, you're going to lose out on the consumption you have in this. Honestly, in normal use, it doesn't feel that much faster than the diesel. I just think the diesel is a better option versus the V6. And honestly, you stick the diesel into dynamic mode, that torque, the MHEV, it feels a quick car, particularly for daily use. So I would be absolutely happy with this. This is my pick of the bunch. The TFSI is a good car, and I think it's a great entry-level car, but I wouldn't want to miss out on the MHEV element of the new A6. So much like I found with the new Q5 and indeed the A5, the diesel is such an attractive option in the A6 as well. A great starting point and a great starting price at 56k. And then should you option up further to S-Line, to the air suspension, you're only going to be adding to the luxury, to the technology, and leveling up that experience of the A6. I think your money is better spent with that than it is with the V6, and then should you want a sportier variant, we know that Audi are working hard on both S6 and RS6. But for a daily, at the moment I find it hard to beat the diesel. I'm really interested in seeing those plugins, okay, because I think those are going to be really great as daily cars. A little bit of added weight doesn't hurt a daily, but having around about 60 miles of electric range actually saves you a hell of a lot on your fuel bills monthly. I found that with my own GLC hybrid, and this A6 as a plug-in would be super attractive to me to replace that car. So guys, that's my first drive of the new Audi A6. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a comment and a like, subscribe to RBR, and I'll see you guys next time, hopefully in an even sportier version. See ya.